Titans reach higher, and we've got the leaders right here on the Leadership Voice. Welcome to the Leadership Voice. I'm your host, Jay Barbuto. Today's show is all about Cal State Fullerton, its leadership, and bright future. Joining us today will be Gregory Saks, Vice President of University Advancement, and our President, Framroze Virjee, to talk about the promising future of this great university and how you, our viewers, can be more involved in this future. So let's start things off with today's quote of the day. Today's quote comes from Nelson Mandela. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Our first guest today on the Leadership Voice is Gregory Saks. Greg Saks joined Cal State Fullerton as the Vice President for University Advancement and Executive Director of the Cal State Fullerton Philanthropic Foundation in January of 2013. As the Chief Advancement Officer for the university, his portfolio includes all units related to fundraising, strategic communications, alumni relations, community relations, government relations, parent relations, and campus events. In this role, Saks also serves as the Executive Director of the Cal State Fullerton Philanthropic Foundation. Saks came to Cal State Fullerton with over 20 years of experience in advancement at both private and public institutions. Prior to his current role, he served as Vice President for University Advancement at Cal State Dominguez Hills for 7 years, and nearly 9 years as the Executive Director of Development at Pitzer College, a member of the Claremont Colleges. He also held positions at Cal Poly Pomona and Baylor University in Texas. Beyond his work at Cal State Fullerton, Saks serves on several boards, including the Orange County Business Council, Fullerton Arboretum, and he just completed his term as chair of the Cal State University Advancement Council. Saks holds a bachelor's degree from Cal State San Bernardino and a master's degree from Miami University in Ohio. So we are pleased to welcome on the Leadership Voice, Mr. Gregory Saks.
Good to see you, Jay.
Greg, thank you so much for being on the show today.
It's a real pleasure. Thank you.
You know, Greg, a lot of people may not know what it is that the VP of University Advancement does. Could you talk a little bit about what your role is at Cal State Fullerton, and especially when would someone reach out to you?
Well, it's funny, when you were sharing my introduction, it just kept going and going and going and going, and that often, basically all forms of external relations is my job, and it's great. I always tell folks I got the best job in the world. Every day I get a chance to talk to somebody new about the campus and just tell our story. It's really a remarkable thing. So University Advancement is basically all forms of external relations. Really what it's doing is being able to help tell our story, whether it be to donors or community members or folks within the legislature or whatever the case may be, so that they learn more about our campus and really understand why we're investment worthy.
And so when would somebody need to reach out to Greg Saks? When do they say, I need to call Greg Saks?
Well, the good part is when they really get the chance to learn about our campus. And when they get the chance to learn about the great students and programs and faculty and things that they're doing, and they want to invest. And they want to invest to make sure that our campus continues to grow and help our communities.
Well, it sounds like you have a great organization, and you have a fairly large team over at University Advancement. How many folks do you have on your team?
Between 90 and 100, depending.
Okay, so could you talk a little bit about what your leadership philosophy is?
You know, really, when I first came to the campus and we were building that team, we really tried to focus on the 3 C's, and that is communication, ongoing communication, collaboration, making sure everybody's working together, and celebration, making sure that we celebrate the little successes as well as the large ones. And having that as a constant, I think, is really so important, being able to do that ongoing in a regular way. The other thing is, when we came, really it was developing strategy and being thoughtful. The university had just completed a strategic plan, so we operationalized that to our unit. It was a wonderful and unique opportunity to be able to create our mission, vision, values, and goals that are directly relatable back to the university strategic plan. 4 main goals of invest, involve, infrastructure, and engage. And really through that, we've been able to accomplish a lot of goals.
And so working with such a large team over at University Advancement, your leadership philosophy and your leadership style actually really can play a big role in mapping out how things play out.
Yeah, I've been really very, very fortunate that I work with an amazing group of people, and we really made sure that we focused and spent time on strategy. You know, it's so easy. It's so incredibly easy to get just wrapped up in the tactical of the day. And so requiring time to step back and make sure that we're still going in the same direction, even though we're dealing with the challenge of the day, is just we've been fortunate. We've worked really hard, and it's worked out well.
So you've been here at Cal State Fullerton for about half a decade. Mm-hmm. And could you talk about some of the successes that you're most proud of things that have taken place during your time here?
Well, and I'm proud of the people, and I'm proud of the work that they've accomplished. I'm proud of the fact that we have connected with so many donors and so many investors of the institution that are so deeply committed to our students and deeply committed to our institution and the differences they've made. Our giving is, you know, when I arrived, it was around $7.3 million. We are now having our 3rd consecutive year over $21 million. And so that is a direct relationship to the people that work within University Advancement, the university as a whole, and all of our faculty and staff and others, and of course our investors, and lots of other great things that have happened. Being able to work with our legislators so that we can, the campus has an opportunity to offer a doctorate of nurse practice for all time. Lots of great work as it relates to our marketing and brand research and things like that. And so now we have touch points that are all data-driven and very, very much thoughtful and aligned with where the campus is going.
And I guess what's really exciting is as these funds come in to support the university, where those funds go is really probably what gets us even more excited than anything.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, at the end of the day, the state of California provides about 40% of our budget. The rest comes from not only our students, which is the largest donor of sorts to the university, but there's also, of course, private support. And if you think about the state's disinvestment, the support's going to have to come not only from our legislators, because I know they care very deeply about our institution and about our students, and I know so much they want to increase that support, but it's going to be private individuals that will provide that margin of excellence that's really going to be the difference maker for our students. I mean, it really will. I mean, gosh, you think about the kinds of programs that we have on campus that are so student-centered and really making a difference, and again, are that thing that propels a student to really do extraordinary stuff. So often it comes from private support.
I've had the opportunity to also speak with folks that are investing in the university, as I'm sure you get to even more than I do.
Yeah.
But one of the things we hear them say all the time when they're on campus is, "Wow, things have improved. There's so many more services available now than there used to be." Do you find you're hearing that a lot?
I am. I really do hear that. And the thing that's the most fun for me when there's a alumnus or alumna that returns to campus after many, many years, sometimes decades, is there's 2 things. They talk about the parking, but then also they say, wow, the trees are so big, the place has grown up, the buildings are so large, and it's really just magical because that same thing that really excited them as students immediately comes back. It's a really special and it's an honor to be able to be able to offer that for our graduates.
No, that's great. Could you talk a little bit about how Cal State Fullerton offers our partners or our investors those opportunities to impact lives?
Well, I got to tell you, really so often when you think of our alumni and you think of our students, we are providing the workforce for Orange County and the region. So the university has just shy of 300,000 alumni. About 50%, just shy of 50%, live right here in Orange County, 80% live within 50 miles of the campus. So when I'm talking with employers, really, so this is your talent pool. This is your workforce. You know, when I talk with elected officials, these are your taxpayers. These are those that'll be educated and devoted citizenry that'll vote. And so no matter what the public is, an investment in higher education is really an investment in our communities. And that's really the underlying point when we talk to folks. And it's certainly very investment worthy.
Now that's wonderful. So what would you say to an alum, and there's probably going to be a lot of alums that will watch this show, what would you say to a Titan alum that is proud of their Titan Cal State Fullerton roots?
You know, I would say I don't blame you. It's a pretty awesome place. It really is. I mean, oh gosh, I mean, there's rating after rating, ranking after ranking. I know you know some of these repeatedly highlight the quality and how great this institution is. And I will say something else to our graduates. You know, when they may get that phone call from a student or something like that, thinking about investing back in the institution, that it really, you know, there's a great value in being able to do that. Not only are you paying it forward to the next generation to be able to help make sure they have the resources they need, but you know, it helps enhance the value of their degree. And you know, considering our selectivity now is about 44% or 45% of all those that apply are admitted, the value of their degree continues to increase. And so it's, you have a lot to be proud of if you're a graduate of Cal State Fullerton.
Oh, that's great. And of course, if they want to give back, we've got lots of opportunities to give back.
You know, over 99% of all donations to this campus are restricted. Donor calls the shots. So if the donor wants to give to the leadership program, they certainly can, and we encourage them to do so, or perhaps the Guardian Scholars, or perhaps some other program on campus. On a campus this big, the more micro you go, the better. And we encourage our donors to invest where they want to invest.
So would you say that your philosophy, or maybe the university's philosophy, is to allow the donors to really decide in kind of a donor-centered approach?
Absolutely, and it's exactly that. It's a donor-centered approach. Really what we want to be able to do is make sure they can make an impact where they want to make an impact. Look, if there's certainly somebody who's interested in making a general donation to the campus that will support where most needed, I mean, that's great too. But really the key is where you want to make a difference, we want to make sure you have that opportunity. And please do so, because you know what? It's going to make a big difference.
Oh, that's great. Well, we're going to have the president on here in just a few minutes, and he's going to share some great stories and a great vision for Cal State Fullerton here coming up. I want to thank you, Greg, for being on the show today. It's been great to interact with you and talk with you about the role of university advancement and fundraising. And so thank you so much for being on the show.
You bet.
And now it's time for a featured segment of the Leadership Voice. It's today's Did You Know? Today's Did You Know comes from University Advancement. In 2018, close to 12,000 students have applied to graduate with their bachelor's degree from Cal State Fullerton. What is most remarkable about this is that close to 60% of these students are first-generation college students, meaning that they will be the first generation in their entire family to earn college degrees. This means that at Cal State Fullerton, not only are we changing the lives of many students, we are also generationally impacting entire families. And now it's time for today's Leadership Countdown. Today we bring you the top 10 reasons that Cal State Fullerton is such a wonderful place. Number 10, Cal State Fullerton has great supportive alumni. Number 9, CSUF has a large student population but still maintains small class sizes. Number 8, you can surf and ski on the same day. Number 7, CSUF is easy to get to, close to the 5, the 57, and the 91. Number 6, the campus is beautiful, as are the people. Number 5, CSUF is in Southern California. Number 4, both the student and faculty are quite diverse. Number 3, the entire university community is dedicated to student success. Number 2, great programs of study across many disciplines. And the #1 reason Cal State Fullerton is such a wonderful place, CSUF offers the best bang for the buck in California. Stick around. We have President Virjee in the studio, and we'll be right back after this commercial break.
What we found here at Honda Center and the Anaheim Ducks that the Center for Leadership brings expertise in doing research, in doing training. The faculty that has come and given the training to our employees does all the research themselves. They're not pulling this information off the shelf. They're out there researching themselves, talking from firsthand experience, and it brings such a level of competency that we, again, don't find from other trainers that are on the market.
Well, simply put, is what really differentiates and distinguishes Fullerton and the Center for Leadership, really is your expertise. You guys are able to create customized content for our business based on true research.
The faculty from Cal State Fullerton, obviously they're professors of their field. They have deep knowledge and research, but also, aside from the theory, they really bring in some practical examples, and they bring in a lot of interactive activities.
The Bringing Learning to Work initiative is our way of meeting the needs of Orange County businesses and communities. When our clients ask the Center for Leadership to come to bring learning to work, the clients know that they're getting cutting-edge information, the latest thinking in the field, but they're also getting world-class training. Welcome back to the Leadership Voice. Our next guest today is the president of Cal State Fullerton. A first-generation college student, he is a product of public schools and an immigrant who came to this country at a young age. Framroze Virjee is both the personification of Cal State Fullerton's inclusive mission and the inspiration for others. As president of Cal State Fullerton, the most populated university in the largest system of higher education in the country, Fram provides leadership for approximately 4,000 educators who collectively serve more than 40,000 diverse students. It was these students and all students who look at Cal State Fullerton as a beacon of hope and opportunity who compelled Fram to bypass retirement from the CSU's Chancellor's office and join the Titan family in January of 2018. Since that time, he and his wife, Julie, have deeply immersed themselves in all facets of the Titan community, living and leading the engaged university experience the institution aims to provide to all Titans. A student-centered leader who describes his favorite part of his job as anything he gets to do with students. Fram is often found visiting with and participating in classes, programs, and events, and we are honored he is here with us today. Please welcome President Framroze Virjee.
Great to be here. I'm glad to see you wearing your blue and orange.
Yes, I wore this special for the day, and I see you're also wearing your blue and orange.
It's all I wear.
So we are fully branded.
There we go.
We're ready for the day. President Virjee, a lot of folks may not know your journey that took you to where you are today. Could you talk a little bit about your career and how it has taken you towards becoming the 8th president of Cal State Fullerton?
Well, I might start by saying it was never anything that I anticipated. As you mentioned, I am first generation in my family to go to college. So my parents let me know at a very young age, not if I was going to go to college, but that I was going to go to college, and that I was either going to be a doctor or a lawyer, one or the other. Mm-hmm. If you ever saw my grades in science, you'd know I was not going to be a doctor.
Right.
So folks said I had the gift of gab, and I decided to go to law school. I went through UC Santa Barbara as a political science and sociology major, and then straight into law school, which was a fantastic experience. When I came out, I looked for a law firm where I could devote myself to public service as well as practice law. I found that in a great firm, O'Melveny & Myers. I was there for 30 years. I was a litigator, courtroom litigator, a labor and employment lawyer, and representing Fortune 50 companies all over the country. But I always represented education institutions as well, a lot of K-12 institutions and some colleges and universities. I was looking for a change after 30 years, and my wife and I have a nonprofit in Rwanda, and we were going to move to Rwanda, but I got sidetracked coming to the CSU to be the general counsel at the CSU. I was the general counsel for 4 years and executive vice chancellor, working on strategy and the future of the system. And I was coming close to wrapping that up. And Tim said, before you do that, wouldn't you like to go be president of Cal State Fullerton? And here I am.
Well, that's great. That's a great journey. So now you're here. You've obviously got a lot of opportunities in your past for different leadership roles. But could you talk a little bit about and share with everyone, what is your leadership philosophy?
Well, I learned my leadership philosophy and style from someone that you might be familiar with, Warren Christopher, who was the Secretary of State under President Clinton and the Assistant Secretary of State under President Carter. He was the chair of our law firm at O'Melveny and Myers, and I got to spend a lot of time with him. What I learned from him was that leadership means first and foremost being a good listener and being willing to listen a lot before you speak, so that when you speak, you actually speak from a point of strength and a frame of reference. I also learned from him that leadership is best when it's collaborative as opposed to dictatorial or directive. He liked to define a consensus in a group after everybody spoke. And I spent a lot of time watching him do that. And I learned that from him also that good leaders give the credit to others rather than take it for themselves. So I like to think I am a good listener, a collaborative leader that empowers the people that works with him, and that's a great way to lead people.
Well, I think that's a great combination, and everything we know about great leaders is that it really does begin with listening, and I think that's a great mentor to have had. So,
yeah, it was amazing.
Maybe let's talk about Cal State Fullerton a bit.
Sure.
Could you talk about, you've had a chance to get to know Cal State Fullerton, you've been here on campus since January. Tell us, what are the 3 things that excite you the most about Cal State Fullerton and its future?
Well, before I came to Cal State Fullerton, at the Chancellor's office, I had a chance to spend time on all 23 campuses. Mm-hmm. Spend time with the presidents, their cabinets, the academic senates, students. And Cal State Fullerton is different. Every campus is different, but it is different than other places. The things that I think make it different are the rich diversity that we have on this campus. 40% Hispanic, 30% Asian Pacific Islander, 30% Caucasian. That is diversity, and it is reflective of our community. Another thing that I think makes it different is that the size that we are allows us to offer such a diversity of not just academic pursuits, but co-curricular pursuits as well. As you know, we have an amazing athletic program, an amazing performing arts program, but our engineering students perform amazing things in the labs that we have. Our business students do amazing things out in the community. And I guess the third thing that I think is exceptional or different about Cal State Fullerton is we are Orange County. We have 300,000 alumni, and more than 50% of them, 150,000 of them, live in Orange County. And if you go to the Southern California area, you're up around 85-90% of our alumni. So the 11,000, 12,000 graduates that we produce every year, they are going to be the future of Orange County.
No, I think that's great. And when you say that we are Orange County, I think that's so true. I read a statistic recently that more people that live in Orange County graduated from Cal State Fullerton than any other university in the world.
That's right.
And more people that work in Orange County graduated from Cal State Fullerton than any other university in the world. So when you say we are Orange County,
yeah, it's one of the great pleasures and prides that I have when I do go off campus and out into the Orange County community. I meet our alumni everywhere, and what is most gratifying is that they uniformly tell me how Cal State Fullerton transformed their life. They tell me about how it created opportunity for them, how they rely on the education they got at Cal State Fullerton, and how much they love and appreciate this university.
Yeah, Cal State Fullerton is a unique place, and we have some great things happening here. As you start thinking about the next, say, year, the next 2 years, the next 3 years, what are some of the things moving forward that get you really excited about Cal State?
Well, I think we are in the middle of charting a new strategic plan. We just finished coming off a 5-year strategic plan, and we're starting a new one. That gives us an opportunity to look fresh at who we want to be and where we want to go. We are in the middle of WASC reaccreditation, and I have no doubt that we'll be reaccredited, but it's an opportunity for us to look in the rearview mirror and see what we've been doing and then think about adjustments going forward, so that meshes nicely with the strategic plan. We are in the midst of Graduation Initiative 2025 to boost our graduation rates. So I'm excited about the high impact practices and all the things that we're doing to increase our graduation rates for students. And we're starting a comprehensive philanthropic campaign. After 60 years, we're celebrating our 60th anniversary, as you know, we're finally going to do a comprehensive philanthropic campaign. So I think I'm really excited to see where that might take us.
I'm sure it can take us to a lot of great places. When other universities do major campaigns like this, they can transform the university. So
yeah, it's not just about raising money, it's about raising profile and getting the people of California to understand who we are and how important we are. You know, at Cal State Fullerton, every dollar that comes into Cal State Fullerton is put out with $13.50 into the economy. We are an economic engine.
Yeah, that's an incredible return on any investment.
Absolutely.
So as you think about the bright future at Cal State Fullerton, clearly there's a lot of great opportunities here. It's a great place for a lot of people to come and learn and come to spend time with and to make a difference. What do you see as maybe the biggest challenges that CSUF will be facing over the next period of time?
Well, I think they are all related to finances because we are a state agency and we are subject to the state's proclivities with which they fund us. We are different from the UC. The UC gets about 10% of its funding from the state and 90% of its funding from other sources. So it doesn't rely the same way we do on state funding. We are different from the community colleges who have a built-in provision with Prop 98 and Prop 60 for a continuous funding stream. We are in between. We have to go to the legislature every year and ask for enough money to keep us afloat. And if you look at our aging infrastructure and our buildings, we need to build. But we're also busting at the seams. We are, as you said, the largest CSU at 41,000 students. We are an impacted campus, which means that there are lots of students who would like to go here but can't because there's not enough room. That's part of GI 2025, trying to move students through graduation and make more room. But I think one of our challenges is to be able to educate those students who are waiting at the door, who've met the social compact that was made with them by the state, their A through G requirements, their SAT scores, but are waiting for a place.
Yeah, I guess that all of these kind of come together and present some challenges that we can work together to try to get through.
Absolutely.
So if you were talking to a student, supposing they didn't even know who you were, and you were talking to a student and they said, yeah, I'm thinking about Cal State Fullerton, what would you say to a potential student for Cal State Fullerton?
Well, the first thing I would say is, why would you want to go anywhere else? But I would say that the reason to come to Cal State Fullerton, the reasons are multiple. First, we are an institution that prides itself on teaching. We do research. By every standard we do research, but we are not a research institute that happens to teach. We are a teaching institution that does research. We do directed research to help our students learn and to stimulate and encourage our faculty to grow and develop, but the main function we have is teaching. The second thing I would say to them is you ought to come to Cal State Fullerton if you want to be prepared for life. Many institutions are focusing these days on preparing students for their first job out there. But the media is going after the universities all over the place, saying that the the economic benefit of a college education doesn't really work when you do the statistics. What is your salary coming out of college? Where are you in 5 or 10 years? But I think that's only half of what our mission is. The other half of our mission is to raise up students as good citizens, those that want to vote, those that want to be participants in our democracy, those who want to give back to their community, those that are looking around to help others. And as I said, we are going to be Orange County in 5, 10, 15, 20 years. These are going to be the leaders of our community. And so we are trying to build up and raise up effective leaders for the future.
No, I see, that's terrific. Because we always ask ourselves, what kind of community do we want to live in? And when we have the answer to that question, we should always look to Cal State Fullerton.
Absolutely.
Because what we do with Cal State Fullerton eventually will have its pure output into the community, and the community will be greatly impacted.
You know, folks say what happens in California leads the nation. I believe what happens in Cal State Fullerton is going to lead Orange County, and what happens in Orange County is going to lead California.
Yeah, I think I agree with you.
That makes us the center of the world.
That makes us very, very, very central to a lot of things that are happening, and the impact we can have on students and their families is just incredible, and it gives great purpose.
Yeah, it's a profound responsibility, but it's also a privilege and an honor to be able to bring in almost 60% of our students as first in their family to go to college, and know that when they leave Cal State Fullerton, they have the best chance of raising not just themselves socioeconomically, but their families and the future of this county.
Yeah, and I think that's what really gives a lot of us a great feeling of purpose in what we do. And
yeah.
you know, when you go around campus, there's so many programs on campus that are geared towards helping those students succeed, and I think we can all have a lot of pride in that.
Well, I think our faculty deserves amazing credit. You know, so many of our faculty have come from Ivy League institutions, and so many more of our faculty could go teach at Ivy League institutions anytime they wanted to. But they choose to come here because they choose to educate the students who they have the best opportunity for the greatest impact upon, and I think that is wonderful.
Yeah. Well, this has been a wonderful conversation about Cal State Fullerton. Now, in a little while, we're going to have Q&A, and we have questions from some of our students here on campus. You'll be able to stick around and
Sure.
answer a few questions for us?
I'm always ready to answer students' questions.
Okay, well, it's now time for the Leadership Voices Leadership Example. Today's leadership example comes from gradeslam.org. Today, we bring you the top 25 colleges with the most rigorous grading in the country. Hear that? You know what that means. It's time for today's leadership lesson. Today's leadership lesson is being delivered by Dr. Gerard Beenen. So let's take 3 minutes and listen up.
Thanks, Jay. Leaders of large universities like Cal State Fullerton face two key pressures: graduating students faster without compromising quality, and doing this with fewer resources. Since engaged students are more likely to graduate and give back to their institutions, I'm going to focus on how the dual roles of social and organizational identity can help make this happen. But first, a word on why this matters. Entering a large university can be an alienating experience for new students. Suddenly, you're navigating a huge bureaucracy, finding your bearings and learning the ropes. Like a new job, newcomers easily get lost in a sea of new faces, policies, and procedures. So there's a big disconnect. New students feel alienated, but campus leaders need them to feel connected to keep them on track. We can bridge that gap by fostering social and organizational identity. First, social identity describes how we define ourselves by the groups we belong to, friends, like-minded others, or any formal or informal network. Groups that help us feel both unique and connected are called in-groups. At Cal State Fullerton, we have 375 registered student groups, giving students a wide range of opportunities to feel connected on campus. And the sooner this happens, the longer it lasts. A friend of mine I did my MBA with a couple of decades ago told me recently he's still very close with members of his initial very first study group. And research actually supports this. Early group memberships on campus lead to long-lasting friendships that help students persist, graduate on time, and give back as alumni to the very groups that help them achieve their goals. But social identity has a downside. In-group members are at risk of denigrating those who aren't part of their group, members of the out-group. And out-group bias has been well documented by social psychologists. To maximize the benefits of in-groups while reversing the pitfalls of out-group bias, we need organizational identity. Organizational identity provides what's called a superordinate identity, a common shared identity to which all of the subgroups belong. At Cal State Fullerton, we're all Titans. That's our common identity as members of the larger university. And when we say Titans reach higher, we appeal to a shared aspiration that all 375 student groups adhere to. This helps safeguard against out-group bias, and it also gives students an opportunity to be part of a larger organization that cares about their best interests. As Titans, we encourage our students to reach higher in their studies, careers, and relationships. This way, students experience social identity with their smaller groups and clubs, but also organizational identity with the broader Titan community. As bonds are strengthened, both at the group and organizational level, students are more likely to persist, succeed in school, and then become engaged and generous alumni who give back their time, energy, and resources to the university. Effective leaders foster the dual roles of social and organizational identity, whether you're leading a university, other educational institution, or any other business or nonprofit organization. I'm Gerard Beenen, and this has been your leadership lesson.
Thank you, Dr. Beenen, for that wonderful leadership lesson. It's now time for today's Q&A. Do you need some leadership advice? Well, you've come to the right place. Every show we take questions from you, our viewers, and answer them right here on the show. Today we have 4 questions for our president, Framroze Virjee. So let's get to our Q&A. Are you ready?
I am.
All right. First question comes from Rebecca in Irvine, California. She asks, what events or who influenced you to want to become a university president?
Well, I've always been interested in learning and education. I represented school districts and universities when I was a lawyer, and it is missional as far as I'm concerned. So I've always been interested in education, but it wasn't until I began working at the Chancellor's office 4 years ago and realized the significant impact that it can have and the effect that we can have on our students that I began thinking about what it would be like to work on a campus. I never thought I would get the opportunity, but when the Chancellor offered it to me, I knew that's what I wanted to do.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So our second question comes from Kevin Q in Tustin, California. Kevin asks, what was the most unexpected challenge you have encountered in your first few months as president, and how did you respond to it?
It might surprise you, but it's prioritizing the things to do. There is so much going on campus, and I guess I'm a kid at heart because I don't want to miss anything. And so many times there are things going on concurrently, whether it's going to an academic celebration, an athletic event, a performance, and I want to go to all of them, and I have to choose. And that's really the hardest part of this job, is being able to make that choice, because I want to do everything.
Yeah, and you only have so much time.
Exactly.
All right, so our third question comes from Carolina in Fullerton, California. Carolina asks, how do you plan to continue preserving the variety of divergent views and protect freedom of speech at CSUF?
Well, this is a question that's near and dear to my heart because I'm a lawyer and I believe in the First Amendment fervently. As a political science major in college, and I went to law school because I believe in social justice and civil rights. And so I've been at the Chancellor's Office for the last 4 years charting our policies and procedures with respect to protecting the First Amendment. So my plan is to make sure that all voices have the opportunity to be heard at Cal State Fullerton. We have great diversity here, but diversity is only strong if it allows for inclusivity as well. All views need to be heard. I don't ever want to see a heckler's veto where people are shouted down. Everybody should feel that they have the opportunity to speak. The best way to do that is encourage dialogue among people who relate to each other. Students need to know students. Faculty need to know faculty. And we need to tackle issues, not personalities.
Oh, that's great. That's great. So our fourth and final question comes from Kwang in Costa Mesa. Kwang asks, what's your vision for CSUF in the next 5 years in terms of academic and co-curricular programs that impact student success?
I think my vision for Cal State Fullerton is to expand the interdisciplinary activity that we have on campus. We have excellent academic programs, but as we were talking earlier, I think we need to be preparing our students for their second, third, and fourth job, not just for the first job when they get out of college. So I tell engineering students, you may not be an engineer for the rest of your life. You'll start out an engineer, and the next thing you know, you'll be an entrepreneur or a CEO, or you'll be in sales or marketing. And so you should take those courses in other areas. I would love to see more interdisciplinary activity across our colleges, so that folks from the business school are working with a performing arts program. Folks from the College of Engineering are working with our biology folks for biotech. And I think we need to encourage a lot more of that teaming of activities across our colleges and universities, because that's going to create a rich, immersive experience for our students.
I think that's great, and I could see how that could really change the way we might even think about some things. If we think about we're preparing people for their careers, not just for that first job or to get that first job.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a true believer in double majors or major minors or interdisciplinary majors, and we've been working with the Academic Senate and with our faculty across colleges on exactly those issues. It's one of the reasons we have general elective courses, GE courses, of course, general education courses, of course, to make sure that that broad palette is created for our students.
All right. Well, thank you, President Virjee, for joining us and for answering the Q&A with our students.
It was great.
I'd like to thank you for being on the show.
I really appreciate it.
It's been a pleasure. If you have a question, or if you need advice, you know what to do. Send us your question here to the Leadership Voice by email, leadershipvoice@fullerton.edu, or contact us by Twitter @CSUF_leadership. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today's show. Today we learned about the great difference that Cal State Fullerton is making in people's lives, and we also explored many aspects of higher education and university advancement. Thank you to our guests, Gregory Saks, and of course, President Framroze Virjee. Thank you also to Professor Beenen for delivering today's leadership lesson. Join us each episode of the Leadership Voice, as we'll have more executive guests, another special leadership lesson, and lots more worth tuning in to see. I'm Jay Barbuto, and on behalf of the Center for Leadership, we'll see you next time right here on the Leadership Voice.